The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Crooked River Ranch, Oregon, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 41177. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting first down in the front bumper area, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. Located directly in the center is your electronic siren. Moving over to the driver's side face of the front bumper, you'll find a mechanical siren. Moving up onto the cab, on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light and headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Just inside that location into the grille area, there are two forward-facing emergency warning lights. Just above the Freightliner logo is where you'll find the location for tilting the hood for your handhold placement. As we move to the A-pillar, a flat and convex mirror, and then up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Located in the center is a forward-facing floodlight, and then moving up onto the roof is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. We'll go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of those items next. First, starting back down at the front bumper at the tow hooks located on the driver and passenger side. Located directly in the center, once again, is your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving over to the driver's side, mechanical siren. Headlight structure. Directly behind the headlight structure is where you'll find an emergency warning light in the lower fender area. And then moving back to the grille, emergency warning light, Pierce logo, and Freightliner logo. Moving now up to the portion where you can reach in and grab a handhold for tilting the hood once the release has been made on the passenger and driver side. Close up here of the front forward-facing floodlight. As we move around to the cab side, let's start first with a few items here. Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel. As we move to the rear of the fender area, you'll find the marker turn indicator, and then further back onto the rear fender is where you'll find the hood release, one on the passenger and one on the driver. On the driver's side, you'll also find the air inlet for your engine. And then moving up to the A-pillar is where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Let's move more toward the rear cab section. In the crew cab section in the step area, you'll also find LED step lights for ease of access. In the front section, you'll find your fuel tank. It's the silver cap for ultra low sulfur diesel. Right next to that is the blue cap, which is your DEF tank for fill. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab area. We'll start first on the driver's side. There are safety and warning placard informations located within this area. Please visit those and identify those for your personal protection. There are also grab handles, door lock and latch, and window control and door locks. As we move into the seat bracketed area, this is the base of the seat. You'll find this placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses the VIN number of the vehicle along with capacities for each fluid, device, and fluid type. As we move to the floor area, you'll find your master battery switch. It is a quarter turn. As we move to the dash area, you have a keyed ignition. Just up from that, you'll also find a placard indicating the height, length, and weight of the vehicle. We'll cover that next, first with your key ignition, and then we'll move into the placard itself, where you'll find the height of the vehicle, 9 feet 9 inches, length of the vehicle, 30 feet 9 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating, 38,000 pounds. This also houses the 5-digit job number. As you move to the steering column, you'll find your windshield wiper and headlight control. Moving to the dash cluster, tachometer, speedometer, oil, fuel, DEF, air, and water. As you move to the center dash, this is the location where your backup camera will display the image. And then moving into the overhead position of the driver's position, these are going to be your emergency warning lights along with scene lights. There is a red siren brake, which is for your EQ2B mechanical siren. As we move just down from this location, we'll find the vehicle data recorder. Also, there are 12-volt outlets on the right-hand side, barrel style or cigarette lighter. Moving further down onto the front dash area, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. This is the rear spring brake. Also a warning placard indicating spare wiring behind the panel. Please do not remove this until your maintenance teams had an opportunity to review. To the right, we have pump engaged, OK to pump, and OK to pump and roll indicators, along with four-way flasher or hazard lights, dome, footwell, and automatic traction control spin, along with your regen switch. Moving further down on the pump panel switches, we have a PTO pump, idle, and alarm reset. There is a digital display information displaying engine information regarding your vehicle, along with a seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green they're in the seat and belted, along with additional tally lights indicating do not move your truck. You may have a compartment door open, high idle OK, and a battery check. Climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. There's also your VMUX diagnostic port and also an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to increase or decrease sound. As we move into the rear cab area, steps are illuminated with lighting. And as we move into the cab, there are 3 seats across the back wall, along with on the door panel a fixed safety and warning placard information. Those seats do house SCBA brackets. Let's move now back to the exterior. We'll move on to the pump panel next and identify a few items within this area. Starting up at the very top section, you'll find a grab handle at the top. As we move down into the pump panel area, forward of the pump panel is where you'll find your crosslays. Moving now into some of the components within the pump panel, first starting on the left with your master discharge pump discharge gauge and also master pump intake gauge. Moving further to the right in the blue module, this is where you'll find the water tank level indicator. And then just below that, you'll find a vacuum and pressure. These are vacuum and pressure test gauge ports for pumping testing purposes, and they are currently plugged. Moving just to the right, as we move to the top, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to increase or decrease the audible alarm. To the right, an OK to pump indicator indicating you've properly engaged your pump within the cab. Also, as we move to the lower portion, you'll find your pressure throttle governor and also some switches located here for panel lights to illuminate the panel area. And then just below that, front scene, left scene, and right scene. As we move further to the right, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge, speedlay 1, 2, discharge, passenger side, and deluge are located here, along with your passenger side pre-connect and real discharge. A couple safety warnings: entanglement hazard. Because the line's coming from the front area, there is the possibility of entanglement, so we have a safety warning placard. This is going to be driver side number 3 discharge. It's a 2.5 inch. We have driver 1, passenger 2, and driver 3 for 2.5 inch discharges. Also an engine cooler, which is a twist, not a pull, and tank fill recirculating line. Just underneath that, a warning regarding fall hazard. Always climb on or off the vehicle facing the vehicle. You'll also find your tank to pump just below that warning placard, along with your fire pump primer. It is a push to prime, air prime, and at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices while engaging the primer. The American flag Pierce logo Eagle is your large diameter pump inlet. It currently has a cap on it, along with the driver number 1 2.5 inch discharge just to the left of that. As we move down, we have a pressure warning hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also an air inlet here and shoreline inlet, auto eject 20 amp. As we move across the very bottom section of the pump panel, this is where you'll find all of our color-coded labeled discharge drains, along with the driver's side auxiliary inlet, 2.5-inch, locally controlled via the ball valve. Warning, trained personnel only should operate this piece of equipment. That's only after proper training. To the far right, you have your fire pump main drain, along with an additional placard here regarding the wattress. This is the type of pump that you have, 1,250 GPM. Color-coded and labeled discharge drains across the very bottom section. We'll move to the body next, starting first at the very top section with a water tank level indicator indicating water status. Also, there are two side-facing floodlights to the very rear, an emergency warning light. As we move down in the over-axle area, you have two SCBA bottle storage compartment storage areas. Just to the forward of the axle location, you'll find a marker turn indicator light, and then rear to the axle, you'll find an emergency warning light. This is part of the lower emergency warning lights. Just in front of the axle, folding wheel chock storage location. We'll go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of those items that we just talked about, starting first up at the top with the LED water tank level indicator and also side-facing floodlight. All compartment doors open. Let's take a look into the compartments now, starting at the very front compartment. This is where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, your battery charger will actively charge your batteries, maintaining battery status. Down the lower section, we have a pull-out tray. The release mechanism for that tray is located on the lower right-hand side. It will lock into position when open also. As we move to the overwheel compartment, D-handle gains you access into the toolboard area. Once the toolboard has been fully opened, it will lock into position. There is a lock release located on the hinge side. Moving now just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find bottle storage location. You'll also find just below that the marker turn indicator light. As we move down to the rear axle, once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. As we move toward the rear of the axle, this is where you'll find an additional SCBA bottle storage. Both of those do have retaining straps. And then just underneath that, you'll find an emergency warning light, part of the lower emergency warning light zone. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find a pull-out tray. This is a through compartment. The release for that is on the lower right. Back up to the very top, this is the side-facing scene light along with that upper zone emergency warning light. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, we'll identify a few items within this space. Starting at the top of the apparatus, you'll find your ladder, and at the very top, an emergency warning light. There are also some warning placards here indicating fall hazard. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Also a warning here regarding fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And because of the cross lays up at the top, or I should say hose bed, you'll find this warning placard indicating entanglement hazard because of those lines coming from the rear of the apparatus. Also a large compartment here in the back, a tray, and also a adjustable shelf. Once again, through compartment, release located on the tray, lower right-hand side. Just underneath, you'll find your tow bar located at the rear of the apparatus. This is just under the running board. And then as we move around to the rear side upper, you're going to find a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, 10-foot attic, and pike pole storage. Also a water level indicator toward the rear of the apparatus. Let's move around to the right side of the vehicle, and we'll identify a few items within this space. Same configuration and layout as far as compartments are. They are a little shorter because of the ladder storage behind the side sheet. As we move into this, you can see all compartments are now open. We have a complement of shelving and also pull-out trays. In the upper section, emergency warning light, and then also side-facing scene light. This is the very rear compartment where you're finding a shelf, and at the lower portion, an adjustable, floor-mounted tray, which the release is located on the right. To the rear of the axle, you'll find an emergency warning light, and then also bottle storage. To the forward section, bottle storage, and a side-facing turn indicator. As you move toward the rear axle, once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. Would like to point out extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle while conducting a regen operation. As we move into the midsection of the pump area, Let's start at the very top. What you can see at the top, your booster line reel, and then also you'll find a grab handle. We do have some additional warning labels I'd like to discuss. First, entanglement hazard, and then also a fall injury hazard. This is the entanglement hazard here because of those lines coming from the cross lay, and then also above, there's the possibility of entanglement. This is the reel rewind switch for your booster reel. As we can look into the pump panel space, this is an access door. We're seeing the front section of the 24-foot and 14-foot ladder. Also, warning regarding fall hazard when climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move into the pan door behind the panel area, this is where you're going to find your relief valve. The setting is located where the yellow arrow is indicating. As we move to the side pump panel, you'll find the American flag Pierce logo, and this has your large diameter passenger side inlet, along with a minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. As we now move to the cab area, let's start in the very rear of the cab, in the cab space. Starting on the door panel, you'll find affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control. As we look inside, you're going to find 3 seats across the rear wall. They do have additional storage underneath the seat pedestal area. And then as we look to those seats themselves, they do have SCBA brackets located within the rear portion of the upper back area. Moving now back to the exterior, these are the steps leading up to the inside of the cab area. There is LED lights illuminating this walking area, or I should say stepping area. As we move to the front door panel, you'll find additional warning placards and door lock and latch combination. As we move inside to the officer space, we'd like to point out in the lower section of the floor, this is the mechanical siren foot pedal for activation, and the siren brake is located over the driver's seat. The seat does have additional storage underneath, and as we move to the front upper back section, you'll find it has an SCBA bracket also. Let's move back to the exterior, and we'll move forward of the truck, first starting with the rear portion release. This is to gain access into the hood. As we move on to the top of the fender, you'll find the marker turn indicator light, and then moving into the front section where the headlight structure is at, you'll find an emergency warning light, and then just around the corner is where you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. You also have Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. Moving now to the very front of the vehicle, congratulations Crooked River Ranch, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 41177. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.